You're listening to the Traffic and Conversion Show. I'm your host, Michelle Fernandez, and I am so excited for this episode because joining me today is Heather Farris. Heather is a Pinterest strategist managing clients' accounts for nearly 5 years. She jokes that she used the platform for so long that she remembers when there wasn't much to see and you actually found the end of the feed. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. Well, before she got into Pinterest marketing, she was an accountant. Boring, right? Well, Heather also facilitates a membership where she helps content creators, coaches, and service providers with strategy to grow their traffic and sales. Her team is also serving upwards of 25 clients at any one time. Now, between ads and organic clients, she spends the majority of her time crafting strategy while trusted team implements what she's cooked up, right? When Heather isn't working, she's playing Animal Crossing, hiking, or playing Barbies with her girls. You are in for a treat because today is all about maximizing Pinterest marketing in 2022. So stay tuned. Hey there, it's Michelle, and I have the one and only Heather Farris joining me. Welcome to the show, Heather.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you.
Yay. All right. So we just got to chatting a little bit and I got to hear a little bit of your story, but I would love it if you can share a little bit more about yourself, like what you do, who you are, who you serve, all that good stuff.
A lot of info packed in those tiny little questions. I'm Heather, of course. You just introed me. I have been in my 32 years on the planet using Pinterest for 12 of them. It's a long time. And I started my business as a mommy blogger and then just accidentally ended up in the service business. But outside of like the professional stuff, which I can get back to, I currently live in Tucson, Arizona. My husband and I have been married for, I think, 13 years.
Oh, wow.
I don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped counting. We have 2 young children. They will be, one will actually be like a teenager next year. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we like to do all kinds of outdoor things. So hiking, biking. We actually traveled full time for a year at one point recently
cool.
in our recent history. And that kind of led us to Arizona pre-COVID, and then we kind of got stuck here. So the business, I've been doing Pinterest for 5 years professionally. Like I said, I kind of got into it by accident. I started as a mommy blogger thinking that was like the magic ticket to making money online.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, I could get myself traffic, but I couldn't monetize worth a darn. So I started offering services because I had used the platform every day for the 6 years leading up to starting my business. I knew why moms were there, what they wanted, how they were searching, what they were clicking on. So I could really use my own personal experience of this platform to help my service customers to achieve the results that I achieved on Pinterest, except they were better at monetizing than I was. So here we are 5 years later, and I've built a multi-6-figure Pinterest agency from what started as a mommy blog in my basement one really dark August afternoon.
Oh my goodness. I love that. That's so inspirational. Hold on. So just rewind, because I did ask you, like, how did you get started in all this? I think that's so cool. I think you should share that.
Oh, yeah. So I got started. I was 20 and I had a new baby and a new husband, and I couldn't cook. The joke that I tell quite often is I couldn't cook my way out of a hamburger helper box because that's all I could cook at the time. And it was just making us sick all of the time. And I needed something different. So food is what led me to Pinterest. And then I realized this is when you could literally scroll to the bottom of the feed in like 4 scrolls. That other people were sharing like home decor and cleaning and organizing tips there too. And being a new mom and being a new wife and being 20 years old, I didn't really know anything about life. So I really used the platform to help to decorate my house, to organize, to pick out baby shower stuff when the next baby came, and just pretty much everything in my life. I went to Google second. I went to Pinterest first.
Interesting. I love that because I think a lot of times when we're looking at this, like to advertise our business or to drive traffic to our business, we take for granted some of this stuff because we're like, yeah, it does that. But if you think about all the things that you said that you were looking to do, that was a lot of stuff. So
It
you could
is.
be in any one of those industries and you know that people are needing your stuff, which is that's pretty powerful to me, right?
Yeah.
Because they're looking for those kind of things. So the opportunities are like everywhere and they're limitless,
Yeah.
really, right?
I'm actually putting together a Pinterest strategy right now for a new client we're onboarding. And I was pulling some stats, some of the most recent stats. And the platform's up to 431 million users in 12 years. Now, every quarter, they remove spam users. They're actively removing people off the platform that are spam or bots and things like that. So they really want to keep the platform engaged and useful.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like, even though sometimes it gives us glitches and things like that, I really like they're constantly pruning away the bad
Mm-hmm.
and you're keeping the good. But within that, I think a lot of your audience is probably female, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 60% of women make up the entire global audience of 431 million active users.
Mm-hmm.
So, if their target audiences are also women, which in a lot of cases they are, we're looking to target the decision makers in the household. Those decision makers are women, just historically. We are running the household, we're making the grocery lists, we're planning the kids' activities, we're usually the ones busing them to and from school. So, at the end of the day, even though your audience may be a stay at home mom, she's still making the decisions.
For sure. For sure. Okay. So even though I'm all about advertising and paid traffic, I do think there should definitely be like the hybrid, right? Like your
Yeah.
whole kind of like ecosystem. And we're talking about marketing in 2022, right? So when we're talking Pinterest, let's first start with like the organic side. Is it still relevant organically
It is.
if you think see going in 2022?
Mhm. It is relevant. It has changed. Every platform comes through ups and downs, ebbs and flows. Your audience may be hearing in the last 6 to 8 months, like Pinterest isn't the same as it once was. Of course, it's not. It's growing. It's becoming an adult, almost in
Mm-hmm.
a sense. So as the platform grows and as we attract a new user base, which the new user base that's coming online are Gen Z, and those humans are just totally different than what millennials and Gen Xers need and desire in their lives. It's a
Mm-hmm.
whole new generation of people with different wants, different desires. So as we welcome this new generation on the platform has to grow and become something more than it was before. And that's really where organically the platform is not the same as it was 5 years ago. I could put a new Pinterest account on Pinterest 5 years ago and in 2, 3 months get 5,000 page views. It's just not the same anymore, but that doesn't mean it's not as valuable as it once was. It has morphed into um, organically, they've given us what are called idea pins, which your audience will probably have that question, like, what are idea pins? It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like an Instagram story and a carousel on Instagram
Mm.
were to have a baby,
Mm. Oh,
except they don't expire and they're searchable. So they live on.
love it.
And they really help to bring a lot of engagement and new audience to your profile that
Mm-hmm.
may not have never found you before. So
Mm.
organically, things have changed, but I think they're changing for the better.
Yeah, it sounds really good. So when you're looking at starting out on Pinterest, like what are the most important steps that you should do before you start pinning?
Yeah, I actually just filmed a YouTube video on this on Tuesday. Step number one is to start your keyword research journey. So I want you to, as you're listening to this episode, just grab a pen and piece of paper and write this down. So this is the exercise I take everyone through. On the left side of your paper, I want you to write down the content that you offer and create in your business. On the right side of the paper, I want you to write down the services and products that you sell, whether you're a service provider like myself, or you also sell digital products or physical products. And then I want you to draw kind of a line across the bottom and I want you to write down the questions that you get asked in your business all the time. Take those thoughts to the Pinterest search bar and start typing them in. So if you sell time management printables, for example, type in time management printables and you'll start to see keywords come up on the platform. And these are the keywords that you're going to take note of and start to formulate your keyword strategy. And what I like to tell people is to come up with like your pillars of content. What are the pillars you create all the time in your business? For me, it's organic Pinterest, paid Pinterest, graphic design, and automation. Those are the
Mm.
4 heavy hitters I talk about all the time.
Mhm.
Within those 4, you're probably going to spider web out, and you're going to be able to branch out, and you'll have all these other topics that you talk about in relation to that pillar.
Mhm.
You can also take those and type those into the search bar as well.
Mm.
And you'll take your pillars and you'll start to see themes come up. You'll start to see your competitors' content come up. That's a good sign. It doesn't mean
Mhm.
that you shouldn't be there. It means you should be there. And then, so once you have your keyword strategy, you're going to start using those keywords to create boards. You need to create your boards, create your profile, and start making it look publicly pretty. If anyone wants to go and look at mine, I'm sure you're going to put links in the show
Yes.
notes. You can go and take a look at mine. There's when you go take a look at it, I want you to take note of the banner at the top. That real estate, as a result of idea pins, has become super valuable. So you don't just want to put something there like a pretty picture of cupcakes or anything like that. You want to have a really strong call to action there. And since adding my own banner with a really strong call to action, including a link on it, I've seen like a 266% increase in my organic sales of my membership
Wow.
just from Pinterest.
Mhm.
So use that banner real estate. And then the next thing I want you to focus on is your display name and your bio. The first 138 characters of your bio is what's viewable. So you want to make sure, just like Instagram, that it's packed with the most important information: who you are, who you serve, and what you do, like what transformations you get for them. And then your display name can actually have your name, and you'll notice this on mine if you go look, and a keyword phrase that I want to rank for. So if someone were to search promoted pin marketing on Pinterest, I'm going to come up. Now, I chose promoted pins over like Pinterest marketing strategy
Mhm.
because I actually see that I can rank better in promoted pins, and more people will be likely to find me there than the more flooded version of Pinterest marketing strategy. So banner, bio, display name, create your boards. And then the last kind of optional thing is board covers. You'll notice that my boards all have board covers, and I think they're just visually easier to see what all of the things are on your profile
Mhm.
really quickly. Someone can really identify themselves in the boards on your profile if you have board covers and it's not just a bunch of images filtered throughout.
I
So
love
those
this.
are those are the things.
This was so good, and I hope everybody, like, even if you're driving, like when you get back, rewind it to this part. Can we? This is thank you so much for giving us such like actionable things. Can we
Yeah.
rewind a little bit to where you said, "Oh, I'd rather do promo versus marketing strategy"?
Yeah,
Can you explain that a little bit more?
I can. So for the 3 years that I have had my website and this particular Pinterest account, I have been competing against, and this is just something that I ethically will not do, but I've been competing against other people in my space that promise really big things that they can't actually get for their clients or their students or whoever. They're
Mhm.
doing that for clicks. It's the same competition I have on YouTube. So I am the Pinterest marketing strategy keyword for me. It's really hard for me to compete in that space versus people in promoted pins. There are very few people actually that are experts or who can run promoted pins effectively. So there's not as many people talking about promoted pins. So I can rank for promoted pins versus the other one. So you may notice that in your own space.
I love that. Thank you for clarifying. And that's a good point because let me ask you this, what made you figure out that this was highly competitive and this is where you could compete?
So after years of publishing week over week over week in using the keyword search phrase Pinterest marketing strategy, whether it's even that one or like that phrase with other things on the end, like for beginners or for bloggers, I was just not noticing as much traffic as when I started talking about promoted pins. When I started talking about and publishing content around promoted pins, I noticed my traffic increase phenomenally. So I took note of that. And then also at one point, something happened with Pinterest and they stopped allowing creators to put the word Pinterest in the US. This is US based creators. I have noticed people in the Netherlands, Australia, UK be able to still put the word Pinterest in their display name,
Hmm.
but it's like a trademark issue. technically I'm not Pinterest. So that would make sense that I wouldn't be able to put that word there. So when they took that ability away, I had to come up with something different. And that's when I realized I was actually ranking quite well for promoted pins.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So while we're on the subject of business, right? We obviously know we can do business on Pinterest. Are there any, either give me a combination of like, can all businesses, or are there any like, okay, your business would not do well, or, and then why should we do Pinterest for business?
Yeah. So let's start with why, and then I'll get into some examples.
Okay.
Why would be the pinners and the user intent are vastly different over on Pinterest than they are on Facebook. When you think about using Facebook for yourself, typically what I think is I'm going to open the app and I'm going to scroll through to see what my friends are saying, to see new babies, puppies, things like that. We're looking at life updates. People go to Pinterest to be inspired, to shop, and to basically just do life differently over there. They are actually looking for, I have this proposal up on the back behind the screen. They're browsing for inspiration, they're shopping for products, or they're there to learn a new skill. Those are the main three reasons they are there. So all three of those typically hit something that we're doing in our businesses. So even people who are looking to grow their podcasts, or one of my big clients right now, she's actually in the middle of a launch. She sells a business course. Her audience is there actually looking for tips around business. Now, we don't necessarily want to go there and pin things that are personal to us, like makeup tips or fashion or whatever. We want to do things that are related to our business. And I think that encompasses more of the reason why. Also, in the B2B space, Pinterest is becoming more popular and our search terms have grown quite a lot. So it used to be like a few 100,000 people would be looking for blogging tips or how to start a podcast. Now it's like 5 million monthly searches.
Oh, wow.
So those are really increasing as the demand for the platform has grown. So overall, I think the reason why you would want to use Pinterest and you would want to look at this for your own business is, are my people there already looking for what I sell or the content I create? And if you wanted to use this platform more for brand awareness or to drive traffic, the really great part about Pinterest is your pins live on forever. So your Facebook post may only last a few minutes, your tweet may only last a few minutes, but your pin can be found for months and years down the road. So that's more of the why. The companies that I have found that have struggled the most on Pinterest are anything related to kind of the gray areas or the banned things on the platform. So anyone talking about vaccines, anyone talking about pot. There are a lot of CBD brands that actually use the marijuana leaf in their marketing.
Yes.
Pinterest doesn't like that.
Yeah.
Anyone talking about politics or anything negative, it's really an inspirational, like happy place. It's not the place people go to find out Uncle Joe's opinion about what's going on in the world. It's the place they go to escape all of that.
Right.
So the companies that I found that are doing, that are hard, also, if you're talking about diet and like losing weight, but from a way that people feel shame.
Right.
They don't like that either. So they're really body inclusive. So if you do talk about bodies, if you do talk about diversity, anything like that, they really like that stuff, but it has to come from a positive place.
Yeah. More like health, like you want to be healthy or healthy gut, or you want to, you know, kind of change your lifestyle to feel healthy, not necessarily
lose 20 pounds in 4 days.
Yeah. We all know that it kind of goes in place. It's all positioning, I guess. Okay, I love this because, like, I know for me personally, I'm always like, really, is anybody on Pinterest looking to run Facebook ads or looking to market it? But then if I come from the perspective, then like in my example would be like maybe marketing, how to market your business, or like different tips, or maybe even live video or video, right? Because you need to do video for ads. Well, I think you do, because they do perform better. But like that could be a different way to get them to come in, get them in my world, to then get them onto the next thing, right? So I think that sometimes in your business, that was me, like maybe a year or two ago, going, oh, no one's ever going to be looking for ads. But I'm like, wait, I am more than just ads. I am XYZ. So I think that it's just opening up your mind and like really looking at it as how best you can come from it to get those people in that and capture those people that are on that platform. Right. And that's just my example, because I'm sure there's like 1,000 others that people think, oh, this is not for me, or this won't work for me or my business. Do you agree?
Yes, I do. And one really good way to think about Pinterest is parking your content. How many
Mhm.
times are people going to scroll down your Instagram feed to find posts that might inspire them? I don't know how many times I have scrolled to the bottom of someone's feed. I don't think ever.
Right.
I look at the fewest posts at the top. That word did not come out right. The newest posts at the top and their stories. And then I decide if it's relevant for me to follow them and continue to consume their content.
Mhm.
However, on Pinterest, it's like going and parking your content and it can then be found later. So the chances of someone searching for something in the Instagram bar and your content coming up are so slim. It
Right.
feels heavy in order to figure out how to get to the top of that recent tab or
Mhm.
that top post tab on Instagram. Whereas on Pinterest, someone could literally search for how to start a podcast in a weekend and your post could come right
Come
up to
up.
the top.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so let's talk about time, because you mentioned time management. It got me thinking, like, if everybody's like, oh my God, I want to jump on board Pinterest, but like I'm doing all these other things. So if we only had, let's say, an hour per week, what would you suggest that we do with that time in order for us to get some results?
So for the first 2 weeks of your 1 hour, I would say go ahead and get your profile cultivated and created. And then, so that could be like keyword research week 1, week 2 could be creating your profile. And then week 3, you can really start to use those keywords you had found to create your pin plan. So, what I like to tell my students and my clients to do, for my clients, I do this for them. But my consulting clients, I tell them to do this. We export their content. Now, most everyone I run across has a WordPress website, and this is really easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's a plugin you can get and export all of your content to a CSV file, and then
Mm-hmm.
pull it into a spreadsheet or ClickUp or Asana, whatever you prefer, and create a content library for yourself. And then I want you to kind of make your next 90-day content plan. So what content are you creating in your business in the next 90 days? And then what content do you have in your library that's relevant to the next 90 days?
Hmm.
And then out of those fewer posts, like you're going to narrow it down, you can start to create pins for those. So in your 1 hour a week, I would like for you to make one pin per day. One of those days, I want you to make one idea pin. So an idea pin is literally like you can make it by creating an Instagram story. So think about creating an Instagram reel or an Instagram story and pick up your phone, figure out what keywords you want to rank for this piece of content. How are people going to find it? And then create the content around that. So one of my most recent idea pins, I posted one yesterday, what was like 7 ways to monetize your Pinterest traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just filmed myself talking at my phone, and now I can repurpose that video elsewhere. But I uploaded it into Canva. I made it really pretty, published it to the platform. So in your 1 hour per week, one of those days is an idea pin, and then 6 of those days is a standard pin, driving to either blog content, podcast episodes, YouTube videos, guest appearances where you've shown up on other people's platforms. So when this goes live, I'll pin it and drive traffic to this episode. Products you sell, so physical or digital products, opt-ins for email list,
Mm-hmm.
service pages, portfolios. If it lives on your website and it's not a legal page, you can send traffic to it.
Awesome. Awesome. That really, I mean, that sounds amazing. Like my brain is like with all the ideas right now. So when you're talking about like, you talked about, well, the idea pins, right? So we
Mhm.
talked about how that could be useful. So then how long do you think it would take for somebody to see results? If it was like, I was like kind of dabbled, I kind of have my stuff set up. How long do you think it will take to see results?
Organically, I tell people 6 to 9 months of consistency because this is a search engine. It's
Mm-hmm.
not Facebook or Pinterest or TikTok where we could publish something. Now, you can pin something and it could go viral. For every one of my brands I have put on Pinterest, there have been 3 now. I have had something go viral, but it doesn't happen as often as like TikTok hitting a trend or whatever. So 6 to 9 months of consistency, it's very similar to a Google SEO strategy. It took me a year before I really started showing up on page 1 for my Google SEO. So consistency and input, and do not worry about repinning the same things. Do not worry about group boards. Don't worry about tailwind communities or tribes, depending on what information you've consumed up to this point, if you're listening. I just want you to worry about creating your own pins for your content and really making sure that you're using keywords that people on the platform are searching for. You'll know that they're searching for them because they will be in the autofill on the search bar. And then depending on where you're at and the rollout of the feature again. So once upon a time, we used to have bubble on Pinterest for keywords. They were taken away for a couple of years when they introduced the shop tab, and now they're coming back. So as of this month of recording, March 2022, the bubbles for keywords are coming back. So you may start to see those bubbles come up. And if you do, that's Pinterest telling you that these are words that people are searching for in relation to that search you put in the search bar. So yesterday I was creating a profile for a home decor interior designer. And I searched for decorative chairs, and then other words started coming up underneath it. And then the bubbles showed up at the top. So that's how you know people are looking for them.
Right.
So
I love this. I love this. And what I love about the message that you hit home, because I talk about this all the time, is that in any marketing, you are in this for the long game. Like, you're committed to your business, to your growth, and that does not happen overnight by any means, no matter what platform, no matter who you just heard had this amazing thing, because for whatever reason, it worked really well for them. You know what I mean? That you hear like the story every once in a blue, but then I'm like, but really, what really happened? All the steps before they took this step, right? Because I really think that comes into, we talked about videos. Is video a thing on Pinterest?
100%. Is becoming almost a necessity to use video on Pinterest. Once upon a time, they introduced video. Hardly anyone used it. Now, when I tell you I want you to use video, I want you to think about the user experience with the video on the platform. So in a lot of cases for our clients, we use video more so for ads and idea pins than we do for our static pins, because it's very hard, especially on mobile, for someone to find the button to leave the platform on a video, because the pin, if you touch it, it's a pause play button. So they have to then scroll down just a little bit and find the 3 dots and click that, and then click visit site. Now, this may change. So if you're listening to this podcast in a year, that user functionality may have changed, but historically, this is how video has acted on the platform. So if you are using video for your standard pins that you can put a link on, then I want you to think about using those for engagement and audience building more so than traffic building. And then once someone engages with that video, then they will start to be served your static pins that they can actually click on and easily leave the site.
I love that. I love that. That's good to know. And I do think that, I think most people, what is it, like 80, it's probably even more than 80%. One of the stats that I looked at, people buy from video, right? 80%
I wouldn't
of people,
be surprised.
Right? So it's got to be even higher than that now. I just honestly think video just keeps our attention. You know, we're used to watching TV, especially like Netflix and all these things now. It's just like no brainer to me. Is there any like last minute anything that you want to share?
Yeah, I would love to. So when you are thinking about video, I would encourage you to think about Pinterest as the place that people are going to do, buy, or try. So they want to learn how to do something. They're looking for inspiration in buying products. So the reason you create your video on Pinterest is going to be different than the reason you create your video on TikTok. On TikTok or Instagram Reels, you can dance, you can point, you can do the thing, you can shimmy shake. But on Pinterest, people are going to look for like the recipe to that smoothie that you were dancing to the music over on Instagram. So if you are creating content to repurpose and you want to put it on Pinterest, then I want you to think about the Pinterest user first, and then create that video over on TikTok or Instagram Reels. And you can repurpose it, but you may want to use more broad calls to action, like visit the link in our profile, follow us to learn more, or comment down below. All 3 of those options are available across platforms. I don't know about Snapchat or any of those, but the major platforms, TikTok, Instagram, those are available. And then lastly, I just have fun with it
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't have to be serious all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay. So we're going to get into what I call Michelle's hot minute. Okay. I'm going to ask you a
Okay.
couple questions. They're just super rapid fire.
All
So
right.
are you ready? Okay. Let me
Go.
set my alarm for a minute. Okay. Ready? What is your guilty pleasure?
Netflix for sure.
Are you a cat person or a dog person or neither?
I love both. And if I had to choose an animal to bring home today, it would be a cat.
Oh my gosh. When someone finds out what you do or where you're from, what are the questions that they always ask?
When people find out I'm originally from Arkansas, they're like, "Oh my gosh, do they have like running water there?"
That's terrible.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite fashion trend that you're opting out from this season?
Oh, it's so bad, and it's been for 3 years running. It's the Laura Ingalls Wilder flowery junk at Target, and you see it everywhere. I hate
Yeah,
it.
I love that. Would you rather have a personal masseuse or a personal chef?
A chef for sure.
I should have even known that question right from the beginning, although you might have learned a lot on Pinterest. And if you can learn any language, what would it be?
A German because we want to move to Germany.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to hear about that journey. And what is the favorite thing you love to do with your girls?
It's probably swimming. We have a hot tub and a pool in our backyard, and it doesn't have anything to do with Barbies or glitter, so we can all do it together.
This was so much fun. I appreciate you for coming on the show today and really giving us like juicy nuggets and actionable items. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah. Can you tell people where to find you?
Everywhere. It's heatherfarris.com or Heather Farris Co.
Love it. All right. Well, there you have it. Maximizing Pinterest marketing in 2022 with Heather Farris. Definitely go check her out, and I will drop where you can find her in the show notes. Thanks again, Heather.
Thank you, Michelle.
All right. Until next time, let's grow your business together.